Hello, everyone. My name is Austin Belzer from Austin B Media, and welcome to another conversation from Slamdance 20. I have the director of the short film, The Sea Inside Her, Alyx Duncan. For those who maybe don't know about the short film, The Sea Inside Her is a short film about a grandmother who is charged with caring for her young grandchild and the gradual unraveling, so to speak, of their bedtime routine. The short film had its North American premiere this past Sunday at the Panasonic Lumix Theater as part of a Slamdance 2025 in Los Angeles. And I believe you had a second screening yesterday. But Alyx, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. So great to be here.
Did I get everything right? I was trying to make
Totally.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh my God, so good. You're so pro. Excellent.
thank you. But first, I want to talk about what sparked the idea for the Sea Inside Her.
Okay. So maybe I do just wander around my kitchen as we talk because I guess that's where the project is happening, huh?
Yeah.
It's a domestic setting. Yeah, so Michelle, who is here too, our writer, she and I, it started with the conversations. We've been friends for years and years. We're both her kids are a little bit older than mine now, but we've both got kids. I guess it was just before COVID hit, and I guess I was sort of struggling with being a parent for the first time and sort of thinking about things like what our responsibility is in terms of caring and protecting them, but finding myself doing sort of like strange things like in New Zealand, we hardly have any poisonous creatures, but there are these white-tailed spiders that have come across from Australia. And so I've never killed a spider in my life because they're all harmless here. But I found myself, using lots of fly spray, killing spiders and doing sort of things, I guess, that are there to protect my child, but at the same time, actually not very good for the environment. So in terms of the overall picture, maybe not doing the best thing for my child long term. And then also struggling with those sort of first tantrums and realizing that actually it's my responsibility to moderate my emotions. Yeah, maybe not being the best role model at first. So, and then, yeah, I guess it came around through that conversation with Michelle around what it is to be a caregiver for a young child, and where we are the ones who are there to protect, but sometimes we can be the most predatory person in the room. But the danger isn't necessarily out there, it's sometimes right here.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And Michelle, sorry for not mentioning you in the opening. I haven't had my third cup of coffee yet. So speaking of that, I want to learn about the project from kind of your perspective, how you came into it and collaborated with Alyx to kind of shape the aesthetic of the film, write the film. Anything you can offer up would be great.
So yes, hi everyone. Writer and one of the producers, and I'm also half the shark in the film. So Alyx and I both share a dance background, and we had been dancers long before we were filmmakers. So I think that movement aesthetic and also that rigorous kind of discipline of choreographing work and improvising work and generating movement was a really big part of this. So Alyx and I had talked about this idea, and then I had written a script, and then we had a process with another dancer, myself and another dancer, and then a puppet designer actually came to my house.
Paul Lewis. So if you ever need a puppet made or a puppet puppeted.
Yeah, he's also one to watch. He's the man behind Megan and the Megan movie, in the first movie, and also in The Rule of Jenny Penn that's just coming out. He makes the creepy doll in that. But yeah, we spent some time together just workshopping with these puppets, swimming this shark around a house and also some other creatures, just to and the way that they moved and the emotions that they evoked kind of became part of the process of the storytelling.
Yeah, and I'd love to expand on that because you're using a lot of different visual mediums, like you mentioned puppetry, but I believe there's also there's a lot of different mediums in here, like dance. There's I'd love to hear a bit more about.
Yeah, well, I guess when, as Michelle said, we both come from a dance background. We made another short film some years ago called Pandora together with the most amazing performer, Kilda Northcott, who is the grandmother in this film as well. Kilda she's one of the most iconic sort of dancers in New Zealand, and she's one of those people that you go and see her as a child.
I had a poster of her on my wall as a child. It was very cool to,
Yeah. So just after I finished dance school, I approached her about working together someday, and then Michele and I made this short film with her, and then years later, and here's my child Alyx, who's one of the inspirations of the work. So then when we were making this work, we wanted this sort of grandmother character, so we thought it would be wonderful to have Kilda again.
I'll jump in for a second. So we managed to have, quite a lot of time with Kilda, and she brings a real amazing sort of muscle memory to creating work. And because she has spent so much time in the dance industry, her whole body will embody an emotion, not just a movement narrative. So she was kind of a perfect choice for this. She is also a grandmother, and she's a really big environmentalist. So this work was very appealing for her on a number of levels, I think.
The film was, we were supported, like in New Zealand, it's different from America. We have an arts funding body, which is Creative New Zealand, and we have the New Zealand Film Commission. And for something like this, going to Creative New Zealand, we applied at first as an inter-arts project. So we applied for money to develop the work through movement. So as Michele was saying before, we had these workshops where we brought the team together, and we first of all worked in Michele's place, sort of devising the movement, like really sort of going back to sort of like a devising process of sort of going, we had the script to work with, but like how does the materiality of this tea towel turn into a bird, or how do you get something that's like a shower curtain to become a shark? We had various other objects as well, like how do you get utensils to turn into a lobster? Anyway, we were really sort of playing with the materials of a house in that domestic setting, and looking at how you use movement for that. Later on, we really wanted Kilda to float. Our other producer, Lani, her dad's a builder, so we asked him to rig up a board in the ceiling, so that, and then we got our mates, like who I went to dance school with, Jeff Gilson, who's now a circus performer and a rigger, to come along with his friend who's a rigger, and help us get, test out Kilda floating down the corridor. So it really was, like there's always a lot of research that goes into filmmaking, and especially when there is dance or stunts or something like that involved. But it really was a sort of lovely hybrid sort of process of the writing, conceptualizing process, but then also mixing with the movement-based process. And then ultimately we thought, well, we really need a house that can accommodate rehearsals, and we don't just have to get in and out in 3 days. So I asked my own mum, who is actually a very calm, probably wouldn't have the same response that this grandmother character does. But anyway, we asked her if we could use her house. So it meant that we could rehearse for like 5 days in there, Michele? We had 2 periods. We had a workshop process, and then we had a process of about 5 days, and then the shoot, so that we could really choreograph all of the elements in the actual space.
Yes, thank you for that answer. And I don't know if I've talked about this before, so correct me if we've talked about this or covered this. But the short film is also a silent film, so I would love to hear about the process of trying to tell a story without using any words.
Do you want to do this one, Michele?
Sure. Yeah, well, I guess that really comes from that movement background. So Alyx's work is often very visceral and visual, and so it wasn't a big stretch in this case to try and tell this sort of a story without dialogue. It was always the intention. Initially, there were a few bits and bobs of dialogue, but it became clear that they weren't necessarily when Kilda had sort of stepped into the role. And once we had the shark in play with Paul, who is this amazing puppeteer, like when you see him relating to the shark, he is able to emote, even though it's just those sort of key players in the mix. It was just a matter of within each scene providing an impetus of emotional state rather than something that you needed to talk about so much. We could let them tell the story through their actions.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. And Alex, I know you talked a little bit about how the New Zealand Film Fund and the grant process, but I'd actually love to hear about how New Zealand itself served as inspiration for some of the elements of the short film.
Well, yeah, when we first started, you mean like in terms of the themes or the creatures and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we first started talking about it, we actually we had a different title, and we had originally conceived, we were looking more just at predatory animals. So when you sort of think about the dangers that are sort of out there, and that sort of old-fashioned idea, or the idea of the past where humans were scared of the we had sort of big taloned scary creatures, and a rhinoceros, and other creatures like that. And then as we started to devise it, starting to write the script, we thought, well, actually, let's bring it back to be more personal, because these creatures for us, they're in storybooks, but they're not here in our immediate environment. And so then we started thinking, well, actually, really, the only predatory creature we have in New Zealand anymore is a shark. And not that sharks actually, I think they do way less damage than pretty much anything else on Earth, including cars and things that humans make. But in terms of the mythology, or the sort of the feeling that they convey, they're our one sort of predatory creature.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. Oh, sorry, did I interrupt?
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, no, they're great. Thank you.
Okay. So going back to the themes, would either of you can answer this? How do you hope audiences react to the short film, with its themes of control, vulnerability, and the human relationship with nature in the short film?
Do you want to give it a whirl?
I mean, I guess it's really a questioning process, and asking people to look at who they are in themselves and how they relate to both the people in their lives and the bigger environment. Like, where do they put themselves? Where do they see themselves? Thinking about our personal reactions to it, it's very much about, I think it goes back to what Alex was saying at the very beginning, this idea of taking stock of who we are in relation to the people that we care about the most, and what harm are we inadvertently doing by trying to stay in control, or by holding on to things that maybe don't serve us. Do you want to add anything to that?
I think you summed it up really well. Yeah, I guess it's a film to be taken on an emotional level, on a visceral level. I suppose all narratives are, aren't they? But I guess with stripping away the other mediums like dialogue, or like sort of straight now, I guess we wanted to appeal to the sort of the darker thoughts, or the sort of the things that lie under the surface. Yeah, and I guess a thought that I've had, like when we were sort of talking about the work, is, we are sort of comfortably in these domestic spaces in our homes, and the dangers of the world, in terms, nature being a danger, it's more the other way around. Like, humans really are the predators in the mix. And to reiterate what Michele said, how do we create an environment that is where we're sort of letting our life sort of be as harmless as possible. Yeah.
Thank you. And then I'd love to hear about what you've maybe learned from this project, and how either one of you can answer this, or both of you. What lessons you took away from this short film and how it'll affect your future?
A really good one for us, because we, like, since making this one, we've also made another short film called Growing Still, which hopefully is like about to be released. And then we're heading towards a feature film called Tenderwood, which is a dark thriller with horror tones, also in this sort of fantasy space. And so we met some wonderful collaborators along the way. So it was really good as a working process. Ohu FX, Cara and Frank, they were the compositors and the VFX artists, who spent a long time in and around their normal jobs, removing the puppeteers from the frame. And so there's just sort of been a lot of really good nuts and bolts, I guess, tool learning, the craft in terms of what we will take to our next process, and also that methodology of that lovely sort of weave between Michele's writing and then the process of continuing to have a sort of a collaborative on the ground rehearsal process, I think, is important too, because you find sort of unexpected gems and details which then sort of come back into the work. Do you want to add something, Michele?
No, that sounds good.
Well, I want to thank you both for taking the time to talk about your short film, The Sea Inside Her. I hope people see it where it shows up next. Where are you guys? Where is The Sea Inside Her showing up next, by the way?
Next, it's in Fantasporto in Portugal. Very soon, actually, I think. Anybody in Portugal, go and see it.
Yeah, and then it moves on after that. And it's also actually part of because of the way we funded it and because of Alyx and my background, it's also become an exhibition in its own right. So it's been touring art galleries as well. The film accompanied by Alyx's paintings and my poems, which is sort of makes it into a bigger world, I guess, where we get to see various characters with various animals and state in Alyx's paintings, and then my poems are a reaction to that. So that will be heading to the Dunedin Art Festival next month in New Zealand as well.
And
so
it's had four different shows so far. Editor Luca Turiak made a remix of it as well, which is purely concentrating on the grandmother's sort of internal emotions. So yeah, it's been really lovely actually having a work that sort of keep playing a game of add-ons. Being able to explore the themes and the concept from different angles. So, even though we cut out some of those predatory animals, like before we made the film, like the rhino, they've been able to come up through Michele's poetry and through the painting and sort of have those ideas extended in different ways. So that's been a very cool way of creating something, I think.
And reaching a different audience as well, because it's going through art galleries, not just cinema. So that's been really fun.
Hey, thank you so much for the talk. Yeah, lovely to be interviewed by you.
I'll include a link on all those festivals where it's popping up in the description of the interview. But thank you both so much for taking the time to chat with me. I know it's early there in New Zealand, so thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry to be doing breakfast at the same time, but
no worries.
It's appropriate for the work.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no worries. But you both have a great day. Yeah, and I'm gonna go eat lunch.
All right. Great. Thanks, Austin. Bye.
Bye. You can find me on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads under my username Austin B Media, as well as my Discord and Patreon community chat. Speaking of Patreon, if you'd like early access to this next interview or more exclusive content, head on over to patreon.com/AustinBmedia. For just $3 a month, you get 48-hour early access to my reviews, podcasts, interviews like this one, and articles, plus patron-only channels on my Discord. The $10 a month tier, you'll unlock uncut podcast episodes, exclusive episodes, and more. Until next time.